Hey guys, it's Benjamin with Benjamin's Exotics, and in today's video, we're going to be pulling ball python clutch number 2 of the 2020 breeding season. Okay, so in today's video, we actually have something really cool planned, and we're going to be pulling ball python clutch number 2 of 2020. Now my hand is a little bit jacked up, so it's going to be kind of hard to hold this and pull open the tub, but as you guys can see, this girl is sitting on a big clutch of eggs. And when I say a big clutch, I actually don't know if she's going to have as many eggs as she did last year. This girl did 10 eggs last year, and if we actually look underneath of the tub, kind of a little trick for you guys, just to see how close your girl is to being done laying, you can actually see I can count at least 6 eggs that she is wrapped on that you can't actually visibly see from the top. And she did have one that she kicked out probably about 5 or 6 hours ago, but I already snatched that one and put it in the incubator because I don't like to have eggs just kind of sitting out and drying up and desiccating and basically not being exposed to the heat. And I don't know why they kick eggs out. Sometimes I think they just have too many, but from what I can see, and again, I think last year we pulled this girl out and we actually did it a little bit too soon, and she had a few eggs in her left, but they did pass and everything went good. But from what I can see, she looks to be pretty empty, and she's getting pretty mad. As you can see, she's actually she never strikes, but she's quite irritated. So we're actually going to set up a tripod right now and go ahead and pull the eggs off of this girl. And again, if she does have any eggs left in her, we'll just take these eggs out, set these up in the incubator, and then set her back in this tub until she finishes laying all of her eggs. But let's go ahead and unveil the awesome clutch from this Mojave female ball python. Okay, so I think we're pretty good and set up on the tripod, and we should be good to go to take the eggs from this girl. And again, if you're new to the ball python community, if you don't know why we do this, we're taking these away from the female because we're going to get a better hatch rate. We're going to have more of the eggs survive, and in a controlled environment like an incubator, it's just a better situation for both the eggs and the female. Now, this girl was bred to one of our coral glow males, so we're trying to hit basically Mojave coral glows, and of course any female coral glow combos we will be keeping as well. But let's go ahead and actually take her off. Now typically she is quite a nice snake, but during the stress of eggs, of course, things can change. And unfortunately, my hand is kind of jacked up a little bit, so it's going to be a little bit tricky getting her off of these eggs. But if we do it just like that, trying to be very delicate with these eggs, we can get her out. And let me actually feel her. And again, my hand is a little bit jacked, so I'm going to actually have to come back and re-feel her because I am not going to be able to get a good judgment of whether or not she is empty. But just from looking at her, she looks to be quite empty. And this is actually pretty surprising because last year she did 10 eggs in her clutch, and these are big eggs, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of weird for a female to go from 10 eggs to 7 eggs because you see 6 in there right now, but I already pulled out one that was kicked out of the clutch. So again, sometimes weird things like this happen, and hopefully in the future she gives us a bigger clutch, but still, I cannot complain about 7 big, beautiful, and healthy eggs. Now I'm going to also set these guys up and just kind of show you how we set them up in an egg box. So I'm going to take out the water bowl and a little bit of paper that we had to keep her feeling safe. And this is actually the setup right here. It's going to be a little bit tricky to do this. If we move some of the bedding, might be a little bit easier. And again, I'm kind of working on a tripod setup, so I don't know how good you guys will actually be able to see this, but maybe if I scoot it about right there, you can see how I'm going to set up these eggs. So I'm using a 6-quart Sterilite with one small ventilation hole on each side. We have, like I said, perlite on the bottom as a substrate, soaked, and then we have a light deflector. Some people call it a plastic egg crate, which isn't really the right term. And I don't really want these eggs to be touching the sides. I don't want them to be getting wet at all. So we're going to use these Q-tips to actually kind of guide the eggs and make sure they're not touching the outside of the tub. So this clutch seems to be stuck together pretty well. So if I actually go in and separate some of these guys, so that one is not connected from the rest of the clutch. And again, I know some people like to freak out and flip all the eggs and candle them and stuff like that, and I gotta be so delicate that I'm not gonna crack any of these guys, or well, crack is not the right term, they're more of a leathery shell, but definitely ripping the eggs is kind of a risk, so I have to do this ever so gently, and my other hand is not really good for this right now, so just gotta just so gently. I've never ripped an egg. I know other breeders have, and again, it's an accident that does happen, but when we can avoid it, we always want to, and this is actually gonna be kind of a tight fit in this tub just because these eggs are so big. So kind of readjust right there. Hopefully that looks like a pretty good fit, or at least as good as we're going to get. And then we're going to go ahead and actually take our Q-tips and rearrange little kind of barriers around the eggs. Let's make sure the tripod is still lined up. I can kind of move it like that. So as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 big healthy eggs. And again, these Q-tips are literally just to make sure that when I go to put these in the incubator, or when I go to check on these, because I will check on these eggs maybe once a week, making sure nothing's rotting, nothing's gone bad, checking temperatures, not in the box, but just ambient air temperature of the incubator, just making sure that these little eggs have the best chance at becoming healthy adults. And you can probably hear some thunder in the background as well. Again, trying to just kind of make sure we have a little bit of a barrier going around these guys. So that they don't move. Because, you know, even though these eggs are a big part moisture, well, that's actually not even great English, but even though these eggs are, you know, basically almost completely water, and all of the insides of them at this point are moisture, you don't want the eggs actually taking on too much water. So if they touch the sides, and as you can kind of see right here, we already have some condensation. If they touch those sides too much, and they actually take on a bunch of water from the condensation, they can actually almost kind of like drown, and the water will just overload the egg, and the babies will actually die. So kind of making sure that these guys aren't touching standing water is so critical, which is why we're doing all of this, you know, extra stuff with these Q-tips, but also very important that you have something touching your substrate. And again, I know some people have had great success using just a pure vermiculite or perlite substrate for your ball pythons, and it can work, but especially if you're kind of new to this, or, you know, there's always the risk of having too much water, and I just think that this is a lot safer way to do things. And I mean, so far we've had no babies die in the egg. I mean, I've had one slug, and that is it. And if you guys are looking right here on these, you might be wondering, you know, what's going on with this egg. This is kind of a, not really a boob egg, but just not really completely calcified right there. Maybe the snake wasn't nutritionally quite on point, but this is standard. This is nothing. I'm not even concerned about that egg at all. I think it'll hatch out fine and have no problems whatsoever. And that is going to be just about it. I'll add 1 or 2 more of these just for giggles to make sure that they don't touch the side of the tub. And that should be just about it. So we're going to come back, we're going to check on this clutch, and anywhere from 54 to, let's say, 62 days, we're probably going to see these guys start to hatch out. And if we are lucky and we hit the odds, we should be hitting a bunch of awesome Coral Glow Mojave ball pythons. And just kind of one last shot of these eggs before we put them in the incubator. Again, I apologize for any shady camera work, or maybe the camera not being quite as in focus as it should have been. But with a broken wrist, it's a little bit tricky to get the camera completely lined up. And then we'll take one look at this girl in here. Again, she's looking pretty good for just laying a clutch, and I will palpate her just to make sure I don't feel any other eggs in there. But for the most part, she looks quite empty, and the way that she's acting, she's been, you know, curled up on those eggs for probably the last 6 to 9 hours with no more egg laying activity. So I believe she's completely empty. And again, like I said, fingers crossed on hitting the Coral Glow Mojave ball pythons. So I hope you guys did enjoy and most importantly benefit from today's video. And before we actually end off the video, I figured that since we just cut the eggs of the other Coral Glow clutch, so basically this year I'm trying to get some of my Coral Glow projects really on point. I'm trying to get the Coral Glow project rolling, if you will, and we just had the other clutch that we just cut, which was the Cinnamon to Coral Glow, and we didn't unfortunately hit the double combo of both Cinnamon and Coral Glow, but the babies have finally all come out of their eggs and started to shed, and this one was actually the last pretty much to shed, and she's still, or actually this is a he, has still got probably about halfway to go. You can kind of see there's still some stuck shed, but look at the color on that snake. Just beautiful. So hopefully with this clutch, if we do hit the odds and we hit the double combo, which would be a Coral Glow Mojave, which in theory we should hit if we have 7 eggs in that clutch, we're going to get a lot of kind of this really purpley, orange, yellow type stuff, but even more intense colors on the purple because of the Mojave influence. If you guys do want to keep updated on not only this clutch, which is of course the Cinnamon Coral Glow clutch, and watching these guys grow, but also with the clutch that we just pulled and see those guys start hatching out of the eggs, make sure to follow us over on Instagram at Benjamins_exotics. Link will be in the description below. If you guys did like today's video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.